Greetings, guys. We are in the garage because we have got a box, a special delivery. I've been holding this off. I actually got this box probably like a month and a half ago. They sent this to me to review for you guys, but also I told them exactly what I was doing. I'm putting a topper on my van. I'm really gonna need a solution for the summer to deal with the heat. And they were like, we have got just the thing for you. Country Mod has sent me out one of their highly efficient, compact, rooftop mounted air conditioner systems. Let's crack into this box and see what we got in here. Remember, cut away from yourselves, kids. Cut away, cut away. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they got this wrapped up tight. This did come all the way from China. So got a box inside the box. This thing is well packaged. Boom. Wow. Okay. Boom. We have figured out how the box works. Got it open. Yeah, that's a nice looking unit. Let's take a quick look what comes in the box. Yep, you've got your control unit there. Obviously the main unit there. Got some wiring. Some other little miscellaneous parts in there to help you out. There's an air damper. Yeah, cool stuff. As well as wireless remote. Pretty dope. We'll definitely get into the operation of everything and the installation and all that stuff. Right now, we just want to run a test on this. Now, this stage is absolutely not required at all. You do not need to remove this cover, but I wanted to take a look in here, make sure all the internals are good, and also just to see the construction, see how well it's built, and it is built very nice. Everything in here is well secured, tied down, there's nothing loose. I mean, this thing's gonna be up on top of a roof, bouncing around, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So we definitely wanna make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. And it looks great. Not bad at all. There's no loose fittings, nothing's moving around more than it should, especially this compressor. You know, this thing's gonna be turning on and off hundreds of times, vibrating. Yeah, we definitely wanna make sure this thing can hold up. And I love the ABS plastic, the way this is all formed. I mean, it's very rigid, great construction. I'm no air conditioning expert whatsoever, but right now I can tell that, in my opinion, it's great quality. Okay, let's get it on and test it out, see how well it works. This is the 12-volt version of this air conditioner, and I wanted to talk about a little bit how we're set this up. Obviously, most people are gonna use batteries and all kinds of other ways you can power this. I'm actually using an AC to DC converter. This one is very robust. It can provide up to 100 amps, up to 1500 watts of power, which is more than sufficient for this. This thing requires 12 volts, I believe up to around 50 amps, but I'll put down below exactly what it is this requires. You do want to make sure that whatever you're powering it with can at least provide that amount of power to make sure that it doesn't trip it, shut it down, or damage either one of these pieces of equipment. So this is fairly robust, not gonna be a problem handling this. You can't hear the fan on there operating, but it's well within its limits. Not a final configuration, just a test run here on a couple of sawhorses. Not final in any way. Just want to make sure everything was operating normally. We are blowing very cold air already. Oh yeah, that's frosty. Sorry, I don't have an air temperature gauge, but that's feeling good. That's all we're gonna do for today, guys, but this video will roll right into installation and an actual checkout in the vehicle. Country Mod Pro, we're definitely gonna have the guys here at Wasatch throw that in for me. We'll get some video of that, and then we're gonna do a full review on this bad boy for the guys at Country Mod, who were nice enough to send that out to me. Mounting hole for the Country Mod Pro. Comes with these gaskets. I'm gonna add some additional sealing on there. So for the Country Mod Pro, you will need a 14 by 14 square, whatever surface you want to put it on. This just happens to be a fiberglass top, but you can mount it to sheet metal, wood, whatever. Okay, important thing to note when you're unpacking this, you may think that this is one piece, but it's actually two. Make sure you separate that. One gets mounted to the air conditioner, one gets mounted to the air handler. So there are two pieces here, and then they go together. When you mount it, these two will go back together. Yeah, that may not have been clear in the instructions, but there you go. We have verified all the hardware is there. You'll need the extensions depending on the depth of your mounting. You may need extensions, but you should have everything you need for most vehicles that you're going to mount it to. Here's the board, controller. We looked at this before. Yeah, as I said, it does come with an instruction booklet. However, if you're feeling a little confused or you need something a little more visual, you can scan this QR code, and they have an installation video, which is pretty good. I've watched it, not bad at all. It definitely goes through some of the finer details. You just shoot them an email. They are highly responsive. They will get right back to you if you have any issues. Here we go, guys. For you watching for my Country Mod Pro video, here goes the install. Yes, you can handle this with one person, but I would recommend using 2 people if you can, but many people have installed this by themselves. The unit itself probably weighs about 45 to 50 pounds. If you hit the gym lately, you should be able to handle it okay. They have a slight advantage in the shop here that they have all kinds of places to stand on. If you're doing this on a step ladder, I can't recommend enough that you have a friend and make sure the ladder is sufficiently tall enough. And don't be mistaken, this is a pretty large unit. It doesn't look that big up there now that we've got it on top of the van, but when it's down here in the box, it's definitely has some significant girth and size to it.
Wrench, half-inch dugger.
Okay. Now, a fancy headlamp is not required to assemble the air conditioning unit. However, it can help you do the job easier, and it might even improve your looks. Something we notice on the construction here is when you're installing this, there are a couple of holes that are not pre-drilled. That might be just because of fitment issues, so if you're putting this on a thin roof, like this is being mounted to fiberglass, not a standard RV, that you will need some sort of structure here. You're going to need to build a wood frame or some other kind of structure here to make up that distance. That's probably something that should be noted in the instructions, that without that framing, that there's no way for it to connect, or there's no way for it to work properly. So the interface, this handling unit here, will not mount up correctly without some sort of structure here. This is our solution here. Let's cut out some wood to make it fit. Pretty good solution. If you have a thin roof, you don't have a standard RV roof, you're gonna need some sort of structure to go around here. You could just use plywood or metal or something along that lines to build up this area around it. Power, yep, cool. A little tight, but it'll work. We'll make it work. There we go. She should work like a champ. Thanks for doing that little extra work, Darren.
Could you hold that there a second?
Yep. The installation complete on the Country Mod Pro air conditioner. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a complete amateur, never held a hand tool in your life, and 10 being a master craftsman, I would say you're going to want to be about a 5 or a 6 on this to get that installed properly and have the right tools to do it, and use a friend. I would not do this by yourself. Okay, we've completed the wiring for the air conditioning unit. As you can see, these are the provided fuses here. They also provide these clamps here to zip tie it down and do a neat job. Not bad. We got it running all the way forward. And then our power solution. On ours, we are using a power supply, an AC to DC power supply. This is a 12-volt air conditioner, but it requires a lot of 12-volt. High amperage. So the only way to get that high amperage without using batteries, which would have been the preferred way, but without using batteries, using my ecoflow power stations, was to use an AC to DC converter. So that'll convert 120 into 12 volts and up to 1500 watts of power, which should be more than sufficient to power this air conditioner with ease. Testing is going successful. We have cold air coming out. The fan is on low. Let's turn that fan up a little bit. All our electrical connections are holding up. We're doing good. Power consumption is around 400 watts. You can see it right there. as it ramps up to start kicking out some cold air, getting up around 600 watts now. Yeah, it's definitely gonna suck a little power. It is pushing some cold air. Nice. Can hear it. It is not very loud at all. Like for me, with tinnitus, this sound is gonna be like rocking me to sleep at night. I like that static white noise. It's really nice to me. Not the most efficient way to do this using an AC to DC converter, but it is safe, stable, and I think power consumption is pretty normal. All right, it kicked down a little bit. It was operating at max. Now it kicked down to about 400 watts. Okay, we'll play with that a little bit more and give a really good review down the road and let you guys know how it's operating for me actually in practical use, not just sitting here in the driveway right after installation. Well, we have run out of time to get an official hot weather test on my countrymodpro air conditioner, so we are just gonna have to make do. I've closed up the van. We're here in Porto Cove, British Columbia. It's about 75. It could be a little bit warmer for a good test, but we'll see if we can drop the temperature by at least 10 degrees in the van so you guys can get an idea of how well this countrymodpro air conditioner 12 volt works. We'll get some power readings, we'll get some temperature differentials, and then we'll wrap up this video and I'll give you my opinions on what I think about the countrymodpro air conditioner. Up atop, honey, the van. Okay, maybe we will get a good test. This is a brand new thermometer I just picked up. It is saying it's 84 degrees inside of honey right now. And it does feel a little toasty in here. It's a little warm. So let's turn on this air conditioner and see what we're working with. Of course, it does come with a wireless remote. And it helps if I turn the AC power on. AC power engaged. It runs a little self-check anytime AC power is applied, but only when you initially plug it in. If you leave AC power on all the time, it doesn't do that. It'll only do it when you initially apply AC power. Now, I turn my AC inverter off every day, so it's gonna do that self-test every day, but it's done it without fail, no problem. Again, ignore the little tape here. That was my mistake. I tried to pry this cover off the wrong way. They give you a little tool to do it properly. I didn't use the little tool, so I broke a tab on mine and I'm just holding it up there with tape. But that is nothing against countrymodpro. That is my fault that I broke it. If I'd have used the right tool, it wouldn't have happened. Okay, we're just gonna set this for its lowest temperature setting. Turbo mode? Sure, turbo mode, let's go. Currently 85 now, get a little warmer. We're gonna keep the thermometer way over here where I would actually be hanging out in my van. And we'll see how this does. Current time, you see right there, what is it saying? 11:58, it's not PM, I screwed that up. Anyway, it's 11:58 AM. My bad, I gotta fix this thing up, but right now we'll just leave it like this so the integrity of the test is not ruined. While this thing's running, it'll probably pull around 500 watts or more. Actually, it's up to 700 now, so it's currently pulling about 700 watts, but it will go down a little bit. It's in turbo mode right now, so we're really trying to cool it off. Not bad, not bad, not terrible. For you guys with larger battery banks, won't even be a thing. Here's kind of what it sounds like. I mean, you know, how well can you tell on a video? I don't know, but it's pretty when it's just the air conditioner running by itself, it's very reasonable. Like that would soothe me to sleep, no problem. Put me right to bed. The air temperature coming out of here is absolutely cool. I wish I had one of those little laser thermometers for you guys, but trust me, it's coming out pretty frosty. Very, very nice. One more thing that might be an issue for you guys, definitely gonna be a thing for me. I have a very small space in here. All my doors and windows are pretty new, so everything seals really well. If you run the air conditioner without opening a window or having some other way to vent, your van may pressurize and you might want to, because you might feel that in your ears or whatnot, cause your ears to wig out a little bit. Could be uncomfortable, might not be uncomfortable. My recommendation is to open a window slightly, or I'm gonna leave my max fan on and about 10%, just pumping air out. It's not really gonna pump all the cold air out. Matter of fact, heat rises, cold descends. So it's really just pushing out a little bit of hot air and equalizing the pressure inside my van. Super geeky, super technical, may not be an issue for you, especially if you have a larger vehicle. It may not be that big a deal, but in my little tiny short 2010 Econoline, pressurization is definitely a thing. You can really feel it when that thing's on max fan and I don't open up any windows and I don't turn on the fan. You definitely know it's pressurizing in here. 10 minutes up. Is that a fair test? Probably not. 10 minutes is a lot to handle for a 12-volt air conditioner, but it has dropped about 4 degrees already, which is pretty significant in my opinion, but not a true test. Let's give it another 10, 15 minutes and see what happens. Power consumption has dropped a little bit. It's down to around 600 watts now. As far as I know, we're still in turbo mode. We're still set at 61 degrees. Up there, doing its thing. See, it's still set for 61. Power consumption 5. Yep, between 5 and 600. Well, between about 550 and 600. Still rolling. Yeah, we're gonna give it another 15 minutes and see where we're at. Okay, we have given the countrymodpro 12-volt air conditioner almost 25 minutes to cool things down in here. It was like, what, 84, 85 degrees? I don't know. You guys are watching the video. You know better than me what the temperature was before. But here we go. Bam, we are down to 76 degrees in 25 minutes. And I'm not gonna lie, it is starting to get a little chilly in here. It cooled it off quick. But something we should talk about that would have made this an even more efficient test and more realistic test is that it is well known in the van community that this area of your van will absolutely rob you of heat and air conditioning all day long. All that glass just absorbs whatever's going on outside. If it's cold outside, it's going to try to make it colder in here. If it's hot outside, it's going to try to make it hotter in here. The best thing you can do is find some way to separate your cabin. I'm just using a cheap blanket, but some people have these expensive thermal blankets, whatnot, anything to cut off that cabin area that you're not using from your sleeping area, which is when I'm usually going to be using this is when I'm trying to sleep. So by cutting that area off, it will make this so much more efficient, quicker to cool things down and get me to bed. But right now, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. For the cost basis, I think it's a fair unit. It is a pretty beefy boy up there on my roof. That's pretty efficient, guys. That's working good. The power consumption would be somewhat of a concern for me. I only have 4,000 watts of power right now, so you're gonna want a robust power system. We're still pulling about 500 watts. But honestly, if I set it for about 75 degrees, that consumption is gonna go down dramatically and not be so bad. And just trying to maintain that like 75 degree perfect room temperature, sleeping condition temperature would not be that big of an issue, I think. So my overall impressions and thoughts on the countrymodpro. It's a great unit. 12-volt power supply. It comes with all the wiring and fuses that you need. I had a certified electrician assist me with the installation. He said that the fuses that they use, the cabling that they use is all appropriate. It makes sense. He didn't change any of that. He just clipped a few wires, put a few connections on and attached it to my system, and that was it. It was really not that complicated. Nothing that a DIY person couldn't do. Totally honest with you, blunt up front, you're gonna need a robust power system if you're gonna wanna run this thing for more than about 5 or 6 hours a night. You're gonna need a lot of power. The 12-volt, though, makes for a safer, more versatile system, in my opinion, because it's going to be so compatible with many, many, many RV-style rigs, you know, DIY rigs, RVs, etc. It's going to be way more compatible and way easier to deal with, tying it into your electrical system that you have in your vehicle. Would I buy it? Abso-freaking-lutely, because being too hot and not getting enough sleep is not an option for me. I don't want anything to affect my travel and my joys out here on the road. So air conditioner, yes. countrymodpro, yes. Lots of power, yes. That's the small compromise you make. But look at that. Just sitting here talking, we've got all the way down to 75 now. Still running, still comfortable, still doing this thing. Yeah, I'm sold. So anyway, guys, check out countrymodpro. Links down below. Yes, I would recommend the unit. Nope, not a requirement for me to say that whatsoever. They wanted me to give an honest review, and it does exactly what it says it can do. It's at a fair price point. You know what you're getting into. What else can you say? Check them out. I'm James Casino, Chocolate Man in the Van. We'll see you guys on the next one.